preparation to make sure my voice would be smooth. Also, if you don't want to record, I totally understand if you already did a thing with Lily.
No, that's fine. We can do a bit. Here we are, and welcome to another 2/3 episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, but we're going to complete the series like The Legend of Zelda's Triforce of Power. I'm back, this time with my sister Becky. We had a crazy schedule this week, and it was just almost impossible for us to record at the same time, but we are committed to bringing this podcast to you every week, even if we have to do it in thirds, or slices, however you want to put it. Slices of pancakes and butter. Becky, how are you doing?
Well, it turns out somebody fed my daughter after midnight, and she turned into a gremlin. So I'm not doing too well. I haven't slept in 3 days.
I would like to note that no one feels bad for you, said everybody ever, because we are on record talking about how your baby is the easiest baby of all time, and it'll probably take 3 days for her to bounce out of this. She's probably just upgrading to a whole other level of cute, and that is why she was up all night.
I certainly hope so. She owes me some cute, I'll tell you that.
I have seen the videos lately. That child is ridiculously cute.
She's on fire. She just
spends the days listening to classical music and saying gibberish with her mouth, and her cheeks move like an animatronic from the Dark Crystal, like those little gelflings. She
has some very cheeky cheeks.
Very cheeky cheeks. So this week we kicked off the Lily episode with a sad thing, which is of course the passing of Luke Perry.
My heart breaks.
Lily and I talked a lot about 90210, and we talked about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but Lily left speaking about his epic role as Fred Andrews on Riverdale for you and I as the Riverdale fans.
I mean, I genuinely don't know what they're going to do, because they can't replace him.
No. Unacceptable.
And I just feel like, when they thought of this series, they thought, okay, we're going to take the characters of the Archie world and we're going to create, this teen drama around it, and it's going to be elevated, and it's going to be different, and it's going to, have some nostalgia from the comics, but we're going to totally redo this. I feel like the character of Fred and Luke Perry as Fred embodies that the most out of anyone,
And I would say I 100% agree. I 100% agree, and I think that while they weren't 100% sure what to do with him in season 3 in particular, but for me, when I first started watching Riverdale, and I was a little bit ambivalent about what is going on here, why is Archie's hair so weirdly red, it was Luke Perry's performance in that first season that sucked me in, that made me want to keep watching. I was like, I'll watch the Fred Andrews show.
Big time. It was just the fact that he was in it. It was the fact that he had come back to television, not as the center of a show, but as a supporting character, and you're remembering, oh my God, Luke Perry's presence on television is something that's really important in my life.
He, like Skeet Ulrich, I think, were two of the people who brought it the most in every episode, in every season.
Yes. An anchor for the show, if you will.
And they were definitely my gateway to the show, and they elevate the game of the show, and it's really sad that he passed away. I feel terrible for his family. I am grateful that we got to see him do another act in his career where people will really remember him belovedly.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at all the social media from the young actors on that show talking about how he looked after them and how he was so caring, and that's really great to hear, because here's someone who's kind of been out of the public eye for the most part.
Yep.
But came back for the right thing. What do you think will happen with Fred Andrews' character Because he's not really doing a ton in the show right now in season 3 where we're
so
at.
I feel like there's two things going on. There's one is like what serves the story best, but then how do the creators of the show and the cast of the show want to handle the death? And you know that the creators of the show and the cast, they're going to want to handle it with a lot of respect and kind of probably make it something that that will allow them to pay tribute to him. But then you sort of feel like storyline wise, it could be used to create like an exciting plot twist. But then if they do that, it might chip away at their ability to really pay tribute to him. So I don't know how they're going to handle it. I feel like it's a bit of a tough situation. As an obvious answer to me that, you know, you'll find ways of putting in plot twists, take a moment to pay tribute to him and, you know, give him a meaningful goodbye.
So for me, his character has been Archie. The Archie in this show, if anyone doesn't watch the show, is at best a well-meaning dummy and at worst a morally confused kid who really, really, really likes to take his shirt off and fight. And
yes, even bears.
Bears, right? He's fought a bear.
He'll even fight a bear.
He's fought bears.
Prison fights, even. Yeah, gangs.
Underground boxing fights. And Fred has been his Yoda, his Obi-Wan, his moral compass, the person who's not perfect.
He has. Yeah.
But the person he judges himself by, the person who gives him the jalopy at the end of season 1. Is it the end of season 2? Season 2, when he gives him the jalopy. And it's like he's always choosing between this dark path and the path of Fred. And so I think that Fred's already almost died like twice in the show. I don't know if they can kill him off, but they will need the presence of Fred to continue to anchor Archie in the show.
So you don't think they're going to kill him off? You think they're just going to kind of keep him as...
I think they're going to give him a happy ending. I
wasn't expecting that. Okay.
Maybe they'll kill him off so the actors
I wonder because it will have such an impact on Archie's character if he loses his father, you know, and I think it'll have like such a catastrophic impact where it's either going to like totally right his ways and send him on the good moral path of Fred Andrews, which will kind of become a boring character for the show, or it's going to send him off the rails into destruction, where like losing his dad will be, they've already hinted at this so many times, it will have such a dramatic effect on Archie's life that if they do kill off the character, I think it could lead to changes the show is not ready to handle.
That's so right on. So what I was thinking maybe is that they have Molly Ringwald plays his mother. So I was thinking maybe there's a scenario whereby Fred gets a happy ending with Molly Ringwald, which is against character a little bit, but has a happy ending with Molly Ringwald. And then for Archie to have a parental figure. At this point, he's old enough to not live live with his parents, right? They're going to graduate high school.
Sure.
Who knows if he's ever going to graduate high school?
He's like 28 or whatever.
Well, yeah, but he's like already failed multiple grades. He's slept with his teacher. Like Jughead's graduating. Oh, yeah. Archie probably not.
Yeah.
But maybe they bring Molly Ringwald in every once in a while to fill that parental role and say like, oh, Dad's back in Greendale or something like that, or not Greendale, that's where Sabrina is, but some other place. And
their mom lives in Chicago or something?
Yeah, like maybe he goes to Chicago. I don't know. I will be sad if Luke Perry dies in real life and Fred Andrews dies in the show.
It'll be like too much for you. You're not ready for that.
It's a lot. And so...
Maybe he has to go into witness protection.
Oh, over Hiram.
Yeah, maybe they realize he like uncovers like something and he goes into like witness protection.
Okay,
that's kind of good. And then Archie takes over the business or something because his dad's in witness protection.
Ultimately, I feel like Archie is going to have to find a way to be the rock star he is in his heart, but earn an honest living.
Yeah.
And so how far are you up to the episode where there's the plot of the
No.
Where the plot of the episode. Okay, no, the plot of the episode is a mix between Apocalypse Now, Pulp Fiction, man, and there's one other movie. There's like 4 movies all mashed up into one episode.
No, I'm not that far. I could give you the plot points of where I am, but I don't want to give too many spoilers. But
right.
Things are getting steamy with Josie.
Oh yeah, exactly. The Jarchi is happening.
Yeah, so I'm at like the first moments of that. But Vlad's going out tonight, so assuming my vampire baby goes to sleep, I will be doing a good Riverdale binge.
So, other than Riverdale, what is Lily and I talked about Dylan McKay, but so what non-Riverdale part for you?
It's 100% Buffy. I mean, I had that poster in my bedroom as a kid.
Oh,
I mean, it's 100% Buffy. I mean, it's not even a question for me. It was probably Buffy before Dylan McKay, because I probably saw that first and then I was pretty young, so I got into 9-0 when I was a bit older. Probably in like the last few years. When he came back at the end of the series, that's when I got into it. I didn't see those first few seasons he was on it. So for me, it's really, I knew it's like he's in Buffy. Oh my God. And did I love that movie, and did I love him? It's like,
I feel like
one of my earliest crushes.
That's so interesting that, yeah, because on the appropriateness factor, that movie was probably more appropriate in our house than 90210 would have been.
Yeah.
Plus, we couldn't really get 90210 because we were in Canada, and only people who had the weird, like, cable box that got Fox were able to get 90210.
I literally remember, I still remember some of his lines from the movie, where, like, there's a bunch of vampires, and she's like, we got a whole lot of problems out there, and he's like, and I got a bag of solutions here, and he has, like, a bag of, like, wooden stakes he's made for her, and then they're gonna, like, go kill them. I mean, like, I remember it so well. Ugh,
and I remember when he shaves off his soul patch. With like one little flick of his blade. He just goes, I was like, that man is so cool.
So cool.
Well, he's like 30, but he's dating a high schooler, but he's so cool.
I'm going to rewatch that, actually. Rewatch it.
All right, so let's bid adieu to Luke Perry, and let's just talk about what have you been watching lately? What are you into these days?
I started the show Bodyguard, starring Rob Stark.
Whitney Houston
Rob
Stark. Oh my God.
Starring Rob Stark.
That guy's like watching paint dry.
Of the Winterfells, or is that where they're from? No,
yeah,
where are they
Winterfell.
from? Winterfell.
He's the boring brother who got killed
Winterfell?
and who they took 3 seasons to kill, right?
Yeah. But I would say he's boring, but he's so smoldery. I don't mind watching him. He's just like dark and intense and brooding, and you're like, I love his one-dimensional acting. It's keeping me hooked in.
Is he a bodyguard in this, or is he being bodyguarded?
So there's things you need to understand about the show. So he plays. Okay, so this is a British show where I don't really understand how things work or why they do things. Like, there's a scene where he's, like, chasing after a bad guy and runs into a building with, like, a machine gun and then takes, like, a little baseball hat out and puts it on, and it's, like, a police hat. And everyone's like, oh, he's the police. Like, as if that's all you need in London is just, like, a little policeman's baseball hat to, like, identify yourself.
He is very smooth.
It's very weird. But, so I don't really get how it works, but he's like a cop, and then somehow the cop can be what's it called? What are the security people that pray? No, like,
a beefeater?
Shit. I can't.
A London cabbie?
No, although, that is a good one. No, what's it called when you're someone's security person?
A bodyguard?
Like yeah, when you're I guess you're their bodyguard.
Security detail?
Name of the show. Yeah. So somehow he gets. I think he's a cop, but then somehow becomes the security detail on whatever the House Secretary is. Is that like Secretary of State in the UK?
The Home Secretary.
Home Secretary. Yeah.
Okay.
So he becomes her.
That's not the Foreign Secretary is the equivalent of the Secretary of State. The Home Secretary is like the Secretary of Homeland Security.
He becomes her. Anyway, he becomes her personal, or her head of personal security. So he's like not just like on her personal detail. He's like in charge of all of it. But it's like kind of a mysterious show. You're unclear if he, is just very professional and going to protect her. He has some sort of like secret vendetta against her and might have it out for her. There's romance, there's intrigue, there's some huge plot twists in it that you do not see coming. I will tell you that. And it's also like very British So kind of like weird and slow at parts and things that make no sense to me whatsoever. Where I'm like, if it was the American version, they would do just like the interesting version of it that's not accurate. But
and Kiefer Sutherland would be the bodyguard and the home secretary.
Yeah, at the same time. So he'd be guarding himself. So, but I will say that like episodes 1 and 2, I was like, sure, all right, yeah, I guess we're watching this. It's interesting enough, and I like watching him on screen. And then there are some huge plot twists that come along that I was like, oh, damn, it's like big enough.
Let me guess. He goes to a wedding.
And everyone
turns out bad and kills everybody.
I mean, it's like that level of a plot twist where you're like, oh shit, I thought this show was about one thing, but now I guess I'm getting to the deeper layer of what it's really about. And the whole time, it's like that. It's not as good as the clone show with Tatiana. Orphan Black. It's nowhere nearly as good as Orphan Black, but it's that level of plot twist where like you keep going like a layer deeper and a layer deeper and a layer deeper, and so it's very intriguing.
Which our dear friend Alana made a funny observation on the episode with Mila when Lily just used every scenario we played in Rex RX as an opportunity to recommend Orphan Black.
It's really true. I feel like
Alana
it's a
thought that
show.
Was a great bit. So
great.
Alana.
Anyway, so I'm watching that. I haven't finished it. I have like 1.5 episodes left. Also keep in mind it's that type of show where, you know, if you are tired enough, you might just fall asleep. but it is really good. So I'm watching that.
Are you watching The Rookie with Nathan Fillion?
Not consistently, but I've seen a handful of episodes.
It's like not a great show. I don't like any of the other cops on the show except the woman who was also on the Liev Schreiber show. Mm-hmm. What's it called? She was on Ray Donovan.
Mm-hmm.
So other than that, the other characters are kind of lame, but he's just so wonderful. I love watching him as an old man fish out of water solving mysteries.
Exactly. That's how I feel about it. It's like, it's not a great show. I've watched a handful of episodes here and there, but every time I just see him being a fish out of water, which we know you love.
Oh, I love a fish out of water.
It's just charming. He's charming. So I'm watching that. I don't know if you and Lil talked about Russian Doll, but I was skeptical the first 2 episodes, and then I will say it's one of the best shows I've seen in a really long time. I will rewatch the whole thing. Look, it's totally rewatchable.
Natasha Lyonne, star of Show Dogs with Will Arnett. She can carry...
We know how you feel about anyone that's in Show Dogs. But it's so... I think we've talked about it on the show before. I feel like we've already talked about Russian Doll. Anyways, it's really one of like the smartest shows I've seen, and it's very existential and dark and funny and
cool.
Great characters. Yeah.
What? Tell me about Umbrella Academy, because I'm watching Deadly Class, and I feel like there's this rash of movies about violent misfits that are shows that all came out at the same time.
Let's start with how I ended up watching Umbrella Academy. I watched Umbrella Academy because you and Lily were watching Deadly Class, and I turned on my Apple TV, and I could not for the life of me remember the name of the show you guys were watching. And I saw Umbrella Academy, and I said, oh, something about like assassins or murders or supernatural powers. This must be it. How many brand new TV shows could there possibly be about this exact same subject?
That's based on a comic book.
Umbrella Academy, only realizing after seeing like 4 episodes that it was a completely different show that you guys were watching.
Yeah.
I can tell you it has these wonderful hints of the fact that it's Canadian that make me love it. It's like a really fun show to watch to point out the subtle Canadian things like someone's accent or,
maybe some
like
ketchup
that.
Chips.
Yeah, like things like that. So, or things that they're trying to make look American, but you're like, you got that wrong. Like a cab, things like that. So, so it's really fun. And I like it enough that I put it on while I'm cooking dinner or cleaning up. And I've watched a few episodes on a plane, but I don't feel very committed or invested in the story or what's going to really happen. So I think it's well done. I think it's fun. It's interesting. It's, I would recommend it to the right person, but I'm not desperate to go back for the next step.
Okay.
And it's basically, and the premise of the show is that there's this supernatural event where like all these babies are born on the same day, and some wacky billionaire adopts 7 of them and raises them as his own children, and they all have these special supernatural powers. And so now we're flash forward to them as adults, and one of the siblings is like aware of a apocalypse that's coming, and I guess they're trying to stop it, and it's kind of dealing with all the family drama between them, because there's a lot of weird family drama, and then also stopping the bad guys and the coming apocalypse.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. So it's like
deadly classes like that, but think of it more like Breakfast Club meets Kill Bill.
This has that kind of vibe. It's extremely violent, this show.
Oh, okay.
Like, shockingly... Is it extremely violent, or am I thinking of something else? No, it's extremely violent? The Spy Who Dumped Me. Do you notice how violent that movie was?
Yeah, it was, like, hilarious. It was, like, 90s level violence.
It was,
like, violent humor.
Bananas. Also, I loved that movie.
Okay, good.
Like, legitimately enjoyed it. Did not care about the plot holes. Had so much fun. Laughed out loud to myself. Didn't even need someone with me, so I would enjoy it. Had the best time.
That's
full
awesome.
Recommend on that.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to recommend before we head out?
Yes. No.
Okay.
I mean, no, not really.
Any shout-outs?
That's about it.
Any shout-outs?
Yeah, I want to give a shout-out to our cousin Jonathan, who has been staying with me this week. He's on spring break from his
cousin
first year
Jonathan,
of college.
the youngest of our generation.
The youngest of our generation visiting me. He has turned out to be such a cool, sweet kid. We're having so much fun. I'm genuinely sad he's leaving tomorrow. It's been a really great visit. So shout out
Jonathan,
to cousin
why don't
Jonathan.
you come and visit me next? You're welcome to come anytime.
Well, he's in Arizona, so maybe you should visit him next time you go to a dude ranch.
That's a good point. Does he live near? Well, anyways. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm going to shout out to our other cousin, Jesse, because he was the one who recommended Umbrella Academy for the first time. Jesse, who is doing amazing stuff with the Tacos and Turntables podcast, which people should check out. They eat, and they have awesome pop culture conversations, so check that out. And with that, where can people follow you?
At Paper BK Princess on Twitter.
And you can follow me at Pancake4Table on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow Friday Night Movie Podcast at FridayNightMoviePod.com or at Fry Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram. And, of course, we will be at the All-Star Comic-Con in June 7th, 8th, and 9th. And Mike and Kevin are cooking up amazing stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, Beck, thanks for doing this. I know it's been a crazy week.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy we did it. All right.
Love you.
Cool. Love you. Bye.
Bye.